let's get into the giant mailbag.
What crazy thing did City do this week?
It's time for Mattress running the numbers. Ready for the main event?
The main event.
Frequent Miler on the air starts now. Today's main event, the Hotel Loyalty Rollercoaster. We are in for a lot of fun, especially as Nick, for those listening to the podcast aren't going to see this, he was doing his hand in a roller coaster motion. So that was a lot of fun, but
trying to add a little effect.
Doesn't really help the podcast listeners, does it?
I mean, you heard the sound effect that went with it. So you probably imagined it, I think.
Oh, there you go. I only heard a little bit of it for some reason. So,
okay.
I don't know. Anyway, Hotel Loyalty, it's being rocked this way and that way. So we are going to be talking about the ups and downs of it. I mean, there's some both exciting and depressing stuff going on.
Try to keep the mood light, though.
Right. There's some good stuff. Don't worry. But first, we have the giant mailbag. Today's giant mailbag segment, we have two pieces of giant mail in the giant mailbag.
Two.
And yes, and I just, before I forget, want to remind everybody that we are now accepting giant mail via email at mailbag@frequentmiler.com. And for that one person who requested it, you can also email giantmailbag@frequentmiler.com if that makes you feel better.
Don't confuse them. Stop it.
I have to always confuse people when I bring up the email address because it's so hard to remember mailbag@frequentmiler.com.
Right.
Okay. First piece of mail comes from Beth. So we, in a recent episode, talked about Hilton free night certs, and I guess we were discussing a promo. I don't even know how recent this was, but a promo that some people got offered where they could spend, I think it was like $8,000 on their Hilton card and get a free night.
Yep.
And I think we were unsure. We either said that the free nights now would not be good for any day of the week, that they now were like weekend only as they used to be, or maybe we said we weren't sure. I don't know. But anyway, Beth comes to the rescue and says they actually will be good for any night of the week, because she points out that Hilton has actually terms that say through any certs issued through the end of 2022 will be good any day of the week.
Oh,
so that's pretty exciting. Yeah.
Nice.
Right.
Seems like it must. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that had said through the end of 2021. So I wonder if they updated that, or we just, I don't know. Either way, one way or another.
They either updated it, or I have to admit, I did not fact check Beth. she pasted some terms in the message.
It seemed official. It seemed real official. I'm sure.
I assumed we're correct. So hopefully she's right. And I think she probably is. So that's great news. It really does make me more interested in earning a Hilton free night this year.
There you go.
Next piece of giant mail comes from Robert. He is talking about the Hilton breakfast credit. So we all learned recently that Hilton gold or diamond status no longer means free breakfast at any Hilton hotel worldwide. Now it means, at least in the Americas, I think, I can't remember.
I think it's just the US. Yeah,
just the US. In the US, it means you get a dining food and beverage credit, and it varies what the credit is based on the type of hotel you're at, and in some cases the market you're in. And he says, I would recommend that anyone booking a Hilton stay indicate that they have 2 in their party for every reservation. This would allow them to get the maximum credit for each day, because the credit is per person up to 2 people, giving them more of an opportunity to actually pay for breakfast with the credit. So I thought that was a good point. And I wanted to bring it up, not just because of Hilton, but also there are other things like Marriott. If you have platinum status, normally you get free breakfast for 2, but there are all kinds of exceptions. And which one is it? The brand that gives you like $10 per day. Yeah. Courtyard, $10 per day per person up to 2 people. And so if you check in with just one person, you're not going to be getting your $20 a day credit. So just make sure that 2 people are listed, whether or not you're
you say that, but the last time I stayed at a Courtyard, it was me and my wife and my son at the time. It was very young, and I went down to breakfast in the morning, and they refused to give me two $10 credits without my wife standing there. So
yeah, well, that's just inexcusable. I mean, that's
I agree, but I'm saying that it may not work 100% of the time, or you may have to push back. Usually, probably you'll get it for two people no matter what. But
yeah. Well, I mean, you could have just gotten one $10 thing and then come back a few minutes later as your twin.
As my twin. Just that guy's twin. His hair was messier than mine, right?
You'd be like, oh, you mean Nick? No, that wasn't me.
I'm Rick.
That's right. That's right. Maybe change your shirt in between.
Good hack, though. Good hack. Well, before we move on from the mailbag, I have an extra piece of giant mail today because this is confession time.
Oh, confession time. We all love confession time, especially when it's not my confession. So
yeah,
this is exciting. What's happening on confession time?
Less happy with myself on confession time in this one. So I recently bought a car and used a credit card, earned lots of points. We talked about that last weekend, right?
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
It
bought a car with and earned over 500,000 membership rewards points. Insane
in a single purchase, right? One little swipe, and that seemed really exciting. Now, people who read the post and kind of got the details probably realized that I had put, and I said this, I had put $24,000 worth of the car on a credit card and paid the balance in a check. Now, I didn't push hard to do more than the 24,000 because, as I noted in the post, I was paying a 2% fee, which was totally worth it for the amount of points I was earning on the purchase, but it wasn't worth spending beyond my capacity for the small business bonus at just or rather at a 2% fee. I wouldn't have wanted to earn 1 point per dollar at a 2% fee. Now, I didn't push to see if they would let me split payment on a second card, which I don't know whether they would have or they wouldn't have. But at the same time, I thought, it's not as much of a win on the second card. So it's okay. I'll just pay by check. And I didn't think too much about it until I was going back through records over the weekend, this past weekend. And I realized that Amex ran 2 different referral promotions last year where they added extra points. One of them was in August-y. And that promotion was, when you referred someone, you got plus 4 points per dollar at shop small businesses and restaurants.
That's right.
Then they ran a second promotion later that was plus 4 everywhere. Now, the second promotion that ended December 1st was good for plus 4 everywhere and up to 25,000 spend for 3 months. So I made the assumption that the first promotion must have also been for 3 months, right? So it must have been like, I lost my capacity on that a long time ago, right? Until I realized this weekend that the first promotion was good for 6 months.
6 months it was, And you were still within that 6 month window?
Sure am still within that 6 month window as we speak right now, and had not spent much at all of the capacity on that.
Yeah.
Not realizing I triggered both referral bonuses on the same card. So that would have been an extra 8 points per dollar, would have been 9 points per dollar on the balance of the car. Plus, not even done. I wrote a post not that long ago about how my wife had gotten a retention offer on her platinum card. And that's the card that has this offer. And I'm an authorized user on it. So I have one in my name on that card. But there was also a retention bonus of 55,000 points after 4,000. So I gave up a ridiculous number of additional points.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people are very, very sorry for you because you're only sitting on 600,000 Amex points recently acquired, and you could have earned so much more. So yeah, I mean, that's a very, very sad story.
Oh man. How did I mess that one up? That was like another 6 figures.
Yeah. Well, it just goes to show we all mess things up. And it reminds me of a confession I need to make, but I'm going to make that next time because we can't pile on too much. We do things wrong, even if we know, we kind of know what we're doing, but it's still, even knowing what you're doing, it's easy to make mistakes in this game.
Burns me on that one. All right. So that, my friends, brings us to what crazy thing did Aeromexico
Do this
week.
Love it. What did Aeromexico do?
Well, I don't know if they did it this week. I know they didn't do it this week, but I discovered it this week that Aeromexico is doing something kind of crazy. They're offering dynamically priced awards on partner airlines. So in addition to the regular standard award chart that they have for their SkyTeam awards, you can also book Delta flights at dynamic prices, which means that Aeromexico has access to all sorts of Delta space with award tickets, which wouldn't ordinarily necessarily excite you, except that with the current transfer bonus, it's basically almost 2-to-1, right? So you divide their prices in half. And when I went looking through and I wrote a post about this, I found that in many cases, the Aeromexico price was fewer miles than the Delta price, and they had access to a wide range of award seats that other partners didn't have access to. And then when you chop those prices in half on top of that, it just turned out that Aeromexico is the best option for booking Delta flights in some specific scenarios.
Yeah. I love this find. So just to make things a little clearer, because not everybody probably understands this. A number of point programs allow transfers to Aeromexico, but most of them are 1-to-1. You get 1 Aeromexico kilometer or whatever it is per point that you transfer. But Amex standardly does, what is it, 1.6? I think something like that. You get 1.6 because they're anyway, you get 1.6 Aeromexico thingies in exchange for each Amex point that you transfer normally. But right now, through mid-February-ish, there's a transfer bonus from Amex. So that transfer bonus on top of their normal 1 to 1.6 thing makes it close to 1.2.
Close to 1. Exactly. Yeah, it's not close exactly to 1 to 2. It's 1 to 1.92, but let's just call it 1 to 2.
But for doing the math, it's easier to say you're basically doubling your points in a way, but getting them stuck in Aeromexico world, which up until now never interested me at all, because when I've looked at award prices through Aeromexico before, even with knowing that I could get a lot more of them from Amex, the prices were so bad that I wasn't interested. But you found actually not only were the prices, when you consider the doubling, good, but they were often, or I don't know if often, but they were sometimes better than Delta's own award pricing, like from the get-go, like just comparing Delta miles to Aeromexico miles.
Right. Which really surprised me, because I had the same impression as you that Aeromexico miles were basically worthless. And let's be clear, they are worthless in a lot of scenarios. There are a lot of situations where awards are way overpriced, and it wouldn't matter if Amex gave you 3 Aeromexico thingies per point, they still would have been out of range. But specifically, the routes that I found where they were potentially a great deal were routes to Alaska and Canada, even some domestic U.S. routes. And then outlier there from Honolulu to Sydney was much better through Aeromexico. Still bad, but much better through Aeromexico. So, it's something I never would have checked. I never would have gone to Aeromexico to check their award prices. And now I'll at least give it a look, especially while the transfer bonus is on. If I happen to want to book a Delta flight, then, give it a look and see.
Yeah.
You don't have to log in to search. It's really easy.
That's great. That's nice, because some programs do make you log in, and that's kind of a nuisance. The one thing I do want to mention, some people have asked about Aeromexico's round the world chart. So in the past, some blogs have published like how it's a pretty good deal, especially considering the transfer from Amex to book a round the world award with Aeromexico. But all the feedback I've ever heard or read about that is that it's very, very difficult, if not impossible, to actually book the thing. So they have an award chart showing a good deal, but it's not necessarily a good deal if you can't actually do it. So just something to keep in mind if you're thinking of going down that route.
Right. I mean, buyer beware. If you're going to transfer to Aeromexico, buyer beware.
Yeah. I would not transfer speculatively to Aeromexico under any circumstance. I would be like, if I found that situation that you described in your post, that there's a flight I want to take, it's on this particular, day, time, whatever, Aeromexico has a better price or a good price after considering the transfer bonus, then I'll transfer that amount needed for that. But no way am I going to get my points stuck in Aeromexico.
Tied up in Aeromexico. Yeah, right. No, that's fair. That's fair. I want to also mention, though, that Grant from Travel with Grant made a point. I showed in the post that Aeromexico, in addition to the fact that they had access to tons of Delta award inventory, was also showing a lot of itineraries that Delta wasn't serving up when you did the searches at delta.com. And Grant noticed, and I think he's probably right, that it seems what Aeromexico is doing is putting together any two flights with whatever Delta defines as saver space to its partners that have a connection of less than 24 hours. So in some cases, you could get a connection of 20 or 22 hours on a domestic itinerary, which is not particularly common with most carriers. Hard to find something like that. So even though a lot of carriers will allow up to a 24-hour connection on their national itineraries, domestically, it's often not something that's simple to book online, at least if it's even possible. So that may also be of interest. Again, very niche kind of situations, but you never know. Maybe it'll work out.
It is. I love it, though. I mean, it gives me another opportunity. If I'm looking at a particular Delta flight that I want to take and there's no good way to book it through the normal channels, then
one more.
I'm going to give Aeromexico a look. Why not? All right.
So then, what crazy thing? Mattress running the numbers. I think about
what crazy mattress run are we going to talk about?
What crazy mattress running are we talking about today, Greg?
I'll tell you how crazy we are. We have three mattress three mattress runs to discuss.
Before you even start running, you stretch for a second, and I'll just quickly update on a mattress run segment from a week or two ago. We talked about the whole Marriott thing and cashing in the points or the 7. There you go, the 7-night certificate, and how people were being told different things. And I did follow up with the Marriott representative, and I was told, for anybody who's sitting on one of those travel packages, if you haven't yet attached it to a hotel stay, we talked about how you're going to be able to get 7 nights of, basically the equivalent of a 7-night peak price stay for that certificate. And that's going to work out to be a pretty good deal. You can't get these news. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, was it? If you don't already have one, you don't know what I'm talking about, ignore me for 2 seconds here. What I was told from the Marriott reps is that you will have to wait for the packages to get canceled out at the end of February in order to get the 7 nights of peak points. So they're not going to, if you call now and try to cancel it and get points, they're going to give you whatever the old points value was, which is not
don't call now.
So don't call now.
Which is sort of usually a good
don't call now
advice with Marriott anyway.
Don't call right now.
But you confirm that it's not just 1 night of points.
Correct.
You get the equivalent of 7 nights. That's
absolutely
amazing. I really wish I had some travel packages left over. And as I mentioned last time, Marriott seems to think I do. So we'll see what happens.
Maybe. Good luck.
They did email me saying I did.
All right.
Okay.
So back to mattress running, the triple header. What's going on?
Right
here?
now that Nick is done with that public service announcement for the 3 people who have travel packages,
all 3 of you, you're welcome, guys.
Okay, so Marriott. We mentioned Marriott, so why don't we start with Marriott? Marriott's out with a new promo, which I think is pretty good, especially for anyone who's interested in earning Marriott Elite status. You get double elite nights on paid stays during the qualifying period, as long as you register, and you get 1,000 bonus points per night. So to give you an idea, last year they had a double elite night and points promo, which required 2-night stays or more. This doesn't have that requirement, so this is a little more flexible. Last time you were able to mix award nights with paid nights. It seems like you can't do that this time, although haven't tested that theory. And the 1K points per night bonus is in some cases better than double points. So if you're booking a hotel that costs less than $100 a night at most Marriott properties, then getting 1,000 bonus points is better than double points. Where it's a lot better is if you're booking one of their extended stay properties that normally gets 5 points per dollar. Getting this 1,000-point bonus is better even if you're booking a stay of less than $50. It's better. I'm sorry, I went the other way. Less than $200. Right. It's better. So pretty good. I'm not going to call it, I don't think we need to discuss, is it mattress run worthy or not? If you are serious about earning Marriott Elite status, then you should look into this, I think, unless you have anything else to say about
No,
this.
yeah, I mean, it reduces the path for people that have a business and a personal card. You started the year with 30 elite nights, and so I mean, this 7 or 8 nights of this, and you're at
you would need 10
nights.
10 paid nights would get you the 20 needed to get to platinum status.
So
that's pretty good,
right?
All right, next up, IHG has an interesting combination of things going on. So IHG has their ambassador elitish program that it's not like a normal elite membership program because you can't earn it through stays. Instead, you buy it each year. You can pay $200 or 40,000 points to buy ambassador status for a year. And that's the normal pricing. And you get a bunch of things, like you get a free weekend night certificate. So that can be used at.
You get a buy one, get one coupon, Greg. Buy one, get one.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to describe it. And it works at Intercontinental Hotels, Kimptons, and a few other of their higher end brands. And you also get various other perks like $20 food and beverage credit per stay, just miscellaneous selection of perks. The deal that's special now is that there's two things. One is if you if you book 2 paid nights, I think it is, during the promotion period, you get 20,000 points. So, that's pretty good. Like if you already had plans to stay 2 paid nights at an IHG or an Intercontinental, I think it has to be, then, this is like a heck of a rebate on top of like buying the ambassador status, not to mention all the other perks you're getting. Mm-hmm. But where I think it gets really interesting is if you take advantage, if you pay for the ambassador status, then you get that free night coupon or buy one, get one coupon, and you use it. That buy one coupon rate is applicable to this promo. So you should be able to stay for basically not quite half price, because the eligible nights are a little bit more than you might be able to get elsewhere. But you get a good deal on a weekend stay, get a bunch of other benefits because of having the ambassador status, and you get the 20,000 points. On top of that, a number of people have been targeted for, like Tim, who wrote this post, was targeted for to get 15,000 points for renewing. So just for renewing his ambassador status.
That's great. That stacks, huh?
Yes, those two will stack. So total 35,000 points for, like, if he paid the 40,000 points to renew, he could get 35,000 back. It does require that 2 paid nights though. And I got a 10,000 point offer because it's not about renewal, because it's been so long since I had it. It's about signing up again, I guess. So, look in your emails, and also when you get the email, look very closely at the bottom of the email where it lists the terms, because when you click through, this is the weirdest thing about IHG. When you click through to the promo, it says click here to sign up. It says nothing about what it promised you in the email. Not a word.
Of course not.
So it's really scary. It's like, well, will I get this or not? I mean, you got to just have faith that you'll get it. But
faith in IHG. That's bold. That's bold.
You can, yeah. But anyway, the point is, if you have a stay where you want it to be a little better, because ambassador status stuff, which includes things like a guaranteed category upgrade in your room, you can do things like I talked about this a while ago in a post where I stayed a weekend in an Intercontinental and I used this coupon for the second night free. And if I had played it right, I could have, booked the paid, like the top category before the room type I really wanted, and been, basically guaranteed, as long as it was available, to be bumped up to the room category I really wanted. And so you can do really cool things like that. So I really like this promo. And, I have I still don't know if I'm going to go, but I do have a Six Senses booking for the Maldives. That's a really luxe property. And I've been thinking I need ambassador status before I go. And the reason is that at Six Senses properties, ambassadors get complimentary free breakfast for two every day. Something they call a signature amenity, which is like a spa massage. You get a 1 category room upgrade. You get later checkout, early check-in. Just those things alone, like for such an expensive stay.
Sure. That adds up.
It'd be kind of crazy not to buy into ambassador before the stay, I think.
Right. Totally. Absolutely. I mean, a free breakfast at a place like that is going to save you a whole ton of money. So totally worth the $200, even if you weren't getting anything back. And with the various rebates, then yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely interesting, and depending on how much it costs you to book those 2 intercontinental nights you need and how much you need those 2 nights. Yeah, I think this is definitely intriguing. And that's a stretch for me because I'm not usually particularly intrigued by IHG or the ambassador program. I don't know. There's just something about it. It doesn't excite me usually, but this promo is good enough that even if you're not really an IHG person in general, you may find this one to be worthwhile. So I agree.
Yep. Cool. And then finally, Radisson Americas.
Yes. I've been waiting for this one.
We're not big fans of the Radisson Awards program, I'd say, but they're out with a good promo, which is for every 3 nights, 30,000 bonus points during the promo period, and up to 90,000 bonus points total. I mean, just that alone, that sounds great, right? Compared to like just about any other chain's bonus.
Sure. Well, I mean, the thing is, Radisson points aren't super valuable. So, 30,000 points doesn't necessarily inspire a lot of excitement in me. And perhaps I'm a little jilted by the fact that the Radisson expired their free night certificates without extending them at the end of 2021. So I got stuck with a couple that expired on me that I never got to use. So now I'm a little bitter Radisson. But that said, I mean, 30,000 points. What do we have for our reasonable redemption value for Radisson points? Like 0.4 of a cent
like
or something?
0.3 or something like that.
So even at 0.3, I mean, that's still not bad because 30,000 points would be what, like $90? And I think if I did the math right on that.
Yeah.
So,
good,
I mean,
good job.
90 back on 3 nights, that's probably not terrible because Radisson nights in the US generally aren't going to be that expensive. The majority of the properties in the US anyway are country inn and suites. There's, just a few higher end Radissons out there. So that's probably a reasonably sized rebate. But you pointed out when we were talking about this before that there is a potentially interesting angle. What is that?
There is. So their award chart starts at 10,000 points a night. So if you look at their category 1 hotels, they have sort of the equivalent of off-peak and standard and peak, and the off-peak rate is 10,000 points a night. If you can find that, then, and this promo does work for award stays according to the terms. So if you can find that 10,000 points a night, you should be able to stay 9 nights with 100% rebate on the points you spent. So you would need to have those 90,000 points to begin with, but you spend the 90,000, you should get back 90,000.
Now, Greg,
that's pretty amazing.
I know 2 guys who've got 90,000 Radisson points. So are you Mattress running this one, Greg, or what?
If I, for some reason, wanted to stay at a category 1 off-peak Radisson, yeah, absolutely.
You would, right. But that doesn't seem like it's not on the cards for you. No, all right. Well, I will say that I have searched because I wanted to try to use my certificates before the end of last year and just didn't find an opportunity. So I did do more Radisson award searches than I care to admit at the end of the year. And I did find a lot of properties that were off-peak priced. I feel like we were told a while back that the Radisson off-peak pricing was, decent and to keep an eye out for that. And I was kind of like, but then I got looking at it and I was like, the properties were all cheap. So the off-peak pricing was still not great value for points, but it was at least good to see that they weren't full priced in points anyway.
Sure.
So I think there's at least a reasonable chance if you can find whatever category 1s there are that maybe you will find it off-peak priced. So
you know what? Maybe I could find a friend or relative that wants to stay at one of these properties and just put them up.
Right. Put them
Why
up
not?
for 9 nights.
Why not?
And 18 between the two of us. We can put them up for 18 nights.
18 nights. That would be great. That'd be a good story.
It would be.
Right?
It would be. We should find somebody willing to stay 18 nights of country Inn and suites, and we're good.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
You know what? I think it's time for the main event.
All right. The main event. Welcome to the main event.
The hotel loyalty roller coaster. Things are going up, down, sideways, loop to loop. What's the corkscrew thingy? That
corkscrew.
I guess that's what you call it, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. Yes. You know your roller coaster terminology. All right.
All right. Let's start with Hilton.
Okay, so, that's a good place to start because we can hate on Hilton for a few minutes.
We've been publishing a few hate on Hilton things recently because they seem to be like eager to drop to the bottom of our hearts and minds, don't you think?
They really do. And I mean, I've long felt like I was the closest thing to a Hilton fanboy that existed in the blogosphere, and they are really just trying to get rid of me. They clearly don't want me staying at their properties for one reason or another.
So there were so many times, I think, on our show where you made fun of me when I was talking about Marriott, like free breakfast and all the rules about it. And you'd be like, just go with Hilton because you're just going to get free breakfast no matter where you stay.
Right. And now you're not going to get free breakfast, and they're going to make sure that credit isn't going to cover it either. So yeah. So of course, Hilton, first of all, has decided to make that permanent, where rather than getting free breakfast, Hilton long had the best mid-tier hotel status in the world, Hilton Gold status, which you get with a $95 a year credit card. Was awesome because you can count on free breakfast. Now you can't. You can count on instead a food and beverage credit, which varies depending on the brand you're staying at and the market that you're staying in. So there's very little consistency in figuring out what you're going to get. You're just kind of at the mercy of whatever somebody tells you when you check in, unless you really study this stuff. And some people are going to prefer that because maybe you already have breakfast covered, or maybe you prefer to get something off the extra value meal at McDonald's, or go to a local place and get a really good healthy breakfast or brunch or whatever it might be. So there's some people, or maybe you're not a morning person and so you'd rather get a drink at the bar. So there's some people for whom that'll be better.
Yes.
I'm not one of those
and there's some people and there's some situations. There have definitely been situations where for whatever reason, I couldn't take advantage of the breakfast benefit, but I could have taken advantage of food and beverage credit. So in those situations, fantastic, right?
And one of those situations would be if you're trying to use a Fine Hotels and Resorts credit, or make a Hilton Impresario booking, because those bookings come with free breakfast anyway. So now you got yourself an additional credit you can use towards dinner, along with whatever property credit you're getting through those programs. So, I mean, there are definitely some situations where that is good, but unfortunately for me, I think that's a very negative change. Although I when I wrote about it, I said, maybe it's good because it'll force me to stop booking hotel stays based on the free breakfast. Like now I can measure, there was this subjective value of free breakfast, the convenience of it and everything else. Now that whole subjective aspect of the loyalty is gone. Like this hotel stay is worth $20 off of breakfast. So is that going to do it for me, or not? And so it's easier to compare apples to apples.
Right. Which brings up a non-chain roller coaster, which is the non-chains. And let me put it a different way. Being your own elite, meaning not worrying about elite status and all that stuff, I'd say is on the upswing. It's going up. And it's not just because of these kind of reductions in benefits from some chains, but also because of things like the Amex Platinum card giving everyone a $200 credit towards Fine Hotels and Resorts. Now you can book, anywhere that they offer their hotels and get $200 back, or the hotel collection is another one. And those kind of things make booking wherever a good idea. And so I think a lot more people are doing that.
Or 10x, miles if you have a Capital One Venture, Venture X,
or Sapphire Reserve, 10x.
Sapphire Reserve, there you go. Yeah, booking through their portals. I mean, 10 transferable points per dollar becomes more appealing to me when all I'm giving up is a credit that's not going to cover breakfast anyway. So I'm probably not going to eat breakfast at the hotel, or, or maybe I just value. I mean, if it's like a $200 stay, you're talking about 2,000 transferable points. I mean, they're Chase points, then pretty easy to value those at 1.5 cents each. That's $30.
Yeah.
That's probably more than you're going to get from the breakfast credit.
Right.
So.
Unfortunately, so I recently had to book an independent hotel, and that's not the important part. That's not the unfortunate part. The unfortunate part was, even though I could find it on like Orbitz and hotels.com and booking.com, all those kind of things. It was not on the Chase portal. Or actually, I should put it a different way. Chase portal claimed there were no rooms available.
Oh yeah, that's annoying. They seem to have different access to inventory. I've noticed that before once or twice too. Odd. All right. So Hilton did that. That was bad enough. And then Hilton decided, you know what, while we're on the bad news train, let's just chug it ahead full steam. And they made some change that Stephen Pepper picked up on in terms of no longer allowing or offering suite upgrades to elite members at like the vast majority of their portfolio, at any of their lower limited service brands, Hampton Inn, Hilton Garden Inn, Embassy Suites. No suite upgrade for you if you're a Hilton Diamond member.
You know what? It's just room upgrades, not
room upgrade in general.
Suite upgrades.
Right. Even to a view. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So it's unclear when they actually made this change, but Stephen learned about it and wrote about it, and wow, I mean, he identified it's over 75% of their properties that do not promise a room upgrade. Now, an individual property may, in fact, give you an upgrade anyway, but it's the program. It's a Hilton Honors that says, you can get a room upgrade if you have, elite status, except for these properties. And it really ought to go the other way and say, at these few properties, you might get a room upgrade if you're lucky.
If you're lucky, which is still an if you're lucky situation. Let's be clear. It's not a guarantee. Right. It's still like an if you're lucky, but they're saying, yeah, we're not even going to bother these 75% of properties to push them to give you a room upgrade. I mean, not so Hilton honorable. That's not right. Not nice at all.
So Hilton elite status is down.
For sure. I mean, what value is there?
All
right. So Hilton,
all right,
kicking you to the curb.
All right, let's talk about Marriott now. So Marriott, up, right? Because they announced that they are going to, early this year, but who knows when, they're going to allow us to add up to 15,000 points to our free night certificates so that we can book the hotels we actually want. And that's a huge deal because, as you know, they price a lot of hotels just out of reach of the free night certificates, like the 35K certificates that most of us have from a lot of credit cards and from various Marriott promotions. When you go to book a hotel, it's often 40K instead of 35K. And so now we'll be able to add 5,000 points. Fantastic feature. So is Marriott like way up in our estimate then?
Slow down a little bit. I mean, that's nice. But the fact that they're no longer going to have an award chart makes me wonder if they're not going to price that just a little bit too high to add the points to it, or price it at a point where now your free night certificate basically always needs points. So it's not really valuable on its own. It's only valuable when combined with other points, maybe. We'll see. So
we don't
know. This upcoming abolition of the award chart is a problem.
That's that part. Getting rid of the award charts means that we no longer can rely on the hotels when the paid price is way overpriced. We can no longer rely on getting a good deal from our points. And that's a shame that Marriott is following Hilton, IHG, and some others down that path. To me, I mean, we'll see how this plays out, but to me, this means Marriott is more on the downswing than the upswing. The combination of the two, I think the elimination of award charts is more of a negative than the ability to add on to your certs is a positive. So
yeah, I mean, it all depend. I guess it'll all depend on how much the points are worth, which we imagine will probably be relatively consistent and probably not great. I think actually the free night certificates will hopefully still be a decent deal, because even if Marriott values the points pretty low, the certificates will be worth enough to easily mitigate the annual fee, I think. So I think probably
I think that's true. I think that's true. I would like them to go further and make it so that like fifth night free benefit would work when you use certificates, and that you can, when no standard rooms are available, but there are like upgrade rooms, that you could somehow use your cert for those, but they don't allow that. So there's a number of limitations now, but I agree. I actually am hopeful that the certs are going to become more valuable than they were before,
or at least more predictably valuable, right? Like you'll know you can probably count on that much.
Yeah, but I'm not at the moment high on the program overall.
No.
And
agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And they still haven't made any effort to simplify the breakfast situation. So
right.
That's not much better than Hilton's situation going on there.
Right. So for those who are new to this, Marriott has different rules so when you have platinum status or higher, you're supposed to get free breakfast, but they have different rules by brand as to what you get.
And they have 27 brands. So
and they have 27 brands. And even within brands, there are hotels that have their own individual exceptions in some cases. And it's just ridiculous.
Right. So you need to consult our chart. We actually have a searchable chart so you can try to figure out whether or not you'll get breakfast. But the fact that you need to consult that to figure out whether or not, with the fact that I need to consult that to figure out whether or not I'm getting breakfast on my stays, that I write about this stuff for a living, and I need to go to the chart to see, wait, am I going to get breakfast there? That's a mark of how ridiculous it is.
It's bad.
All right. So they're up and down, probably more down than up. So what else is out there?
So what do you think about Hyatt?
So far so good. I mean, knock on wood here. This whole peak off peak thing is kind of a bummer. A lot of properties that are highly desirable are peak a lot of the time and rarely, if ever, off peak. So, I mean, that's kind of a bummer. But in the overall scheme of things, compared to their competitors, it's been pretty good there, right? I mean, you gotta agree with that. They've done a great job in terms of the fact that they gave everybody. I say everybody. They gave everybody that had the club upgrade certificates that were expiring points for those upon request. Now, it's terrible that they gave varying amounts of points, and that got really confusing. But at the end of the year, people were able to get points for those and for some of their free night certificates that they'd earned as milestone rewards. So that was nice. And they have continued to offer great elite benefits, still offer clearly, I think objectively, the best top tier hotel elite status out there. They haven't taken anything away from globalist status, right? I mean, you still get everything.
Right. Yeah. So I totally agree. I think there was a slight downward bump with the introduction of peak pricing, but overall, in my mind, Hyatt is still at the top of the loyalty world with hotels. And so I love what they're doing. I love that they're rapidly expanding with new properties, because that was, one of their biggest downsides, is that they don't have properties everywhere you want to go the way Marriott and IHG do. But, they're trying to improve that.
And they're doing a great job in improving that on the higher end of the chain, on like the luxury properties, which is obviously what we get most excited about, because that's where you're going to get the most outsized value. The problem I still have with Hyatt, though, is that they haven't made any effort really to build out that like mid-tier limited service footprint, at least not enough of an effort, because if you're someone who's traveling for work now and then, it's hard to find enough Hyatts. Unless you travel to the major cities in the US, then it's hard to find enough Hyatts to be able to meet the nights that you need to. So I feel like Hyatt really, as much as I enjoy the high-end stuff, they need to do a better job of building out the Hyatt Place, Hyatt House type of a footprint. Or
is that right? So in my just my own looking around at stuff, it seems like there are Hyatt Places and Hyatt Houses pretty much everywhere in the US that I've looked at.
Now, this is obviously an example near me, but you look at Albany, New York, capital of New York State. Plenty of people coming to New York, to Albany from the city, for political stuff and whatnot. There's not a Hyatt Place in Albany. The closest one is 30 miles away up near Saratoga. So there's not one there, which blows my mind. Anytime I need a night near the airport, I'm like, I just want a Hyatt Place by the airport. I mean, that's all I really need, right? And I can't get one nearby. Now, I think they were building one at some point because I saw a sign, but never heard anything more about that. And I often find that when I need to stop on road trips within the US, I mean, unless you're in the DC or Dallas area, I don't know. I feel like there's not enough of those, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just biased. That's where I'm going. I don't know.
Who knows? So it sounds to me like frequent miler. We need to open a Hyatt Place in Albany.
We do. In Albany. There should be one in a capital of New York State. There's no Hyatt. Come on, Hyatt. Help me out here. All right. So Hyatt overall, though, good. Hyatt, 2 thumbs up for the most part, right? There's not much more to say about Hyatt.
Right. So I'm going to talk now about choice privileges.
Why are we talking about choice privileges?
So choice privileges from a loyalty point of view has been and continues to be pretty much at the bottom. Like if you imagine a chart, like with lines showing like the level of how good or bad like each program is and what direction they're going, Choice only really has one direction that it can go, because it's been like bottom feeding all along, in my opinion. Now it has made positive improvements like a few years ago. So they used to, for example, points were only, I can't remember the details, but I think points would expire after like 100 days or some crazy stuff. I don't know. They fixed some of those problems, but they still have like really weird stuff. Like you can't book an award stay more than
like 100 days.
What, 100 days in advance?
Yeah, I mean, ridiculous.
And they don't give any meaningful benefits for elite status, So they definitely are not a loyalty powerhouse. But I wanted to mention them because I talked about this many times on the show. I see them on an upward swing solely because of Citibank. Citi offering a 2 choice points for every 1 Citi point that you transfer. Suddenly it's possible to get really great value by using your Citi points transferred to Choice to book Choice properties or even preferred hotels and resorts, which are bookable through Choice. So a bit of an upswing there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a bit of an upswing. I feel like Choice, yes, it's kind of been a bottom feeder program in the sense that there's not a lot of benefits. There's not a lot of points to be had. They didn't transfer from enough places or at a good rate. So, I mean, yeah, that is getting fixed a little bit. However, Choice has always had some particularly good values in the sense that Nordic Choice has always been really good. We've talked about that before. In a lot of places, you could book any room type that's available. You can book a suite for the same price as the standard room. Certainly not,
which is really nice,
but in a number of places, yeah. So it's got like some benefits there, some decent options, and award stays are usually relatively cheap compared to other programs. So I mean, there's some pluses, but they're limited. So I feel like Greg was right. There's really only one direction for Choice to go. It's not really going to get any worse. So their promotions, they really are usually the same promotion over and over again. And not that exciting.
Not exciting. I can't remember an exciting Choice promo.
Yeah. So, all right. So Choice, I mean, you got nowhere to go but up. Keep up the good work, I guess.
Keep it upper.
Right.
Do more good work. Come on, Choice. Right. Yeah. Okay. So speaking of bottom feeders.
Well, when you said that, I was like, I don't know. Is Choice at the bottom? Because I stick IHG at the bottom. Let's talk about IHG.
I think IHG is a little bit higher than Choice, but it's another bottom feeder the way it is today. But I mean, IHG doesn't have these like crazy restrictions like 100 days before you can book. It does give some elite benefits on stays. I mean, not necessarily guaranteed, but you do get some things. It's a little bit more. It's a little bit more of like a real rewards program than Choices.
Yes, it's true.
But it's nowhere near, at least with respect to the elite program, it's nowhere near what. I mean, not even close to high, but it's not even near what Marriott and Hilton offer, I don't think.
No, I mean, because there are no, there are very few, if any, on-property benefits. Basically the elite benefit of IHG is you can earn more points. And so, if somebody else is paying for your stays, you're traveling a bunch for work and you're just looking to earn as many points as you can to be able to take vacation, then IHG probably makes a lot of sense because you can earn a lot of points on paid stays, especially with elite status. But that's like where the program begins and ends. Opportunities.
Well, to some extent, right? I mean, you get some things at some properties, like if you have elite status, like you get a free drink when you check in, or some properties recognize, like at a Kimpton
property
with
by
platinum
property,
status,
right?
I got upgraded to a suite. So
yes,
there are some things that happen,
but not a consistent guarantee.
Not consistent.
Right? I mean, it's like if you get lucky, yes. I mean, I've gotten great service and gotten nice upgrades at some IHG properties overseas, so that's a good point. I mean, I feel like platinum status with IHG isn't worth anything really in the United States, but abroad, certainly I've run into cases where I've been treated very well as an IHG platinum member. So yeah, I mean, but there's no consistency there in terms of what you can expect. There's not a lot of consistency in the properties either within the United States.
True.
You get a Crown Plaza anywhere on the spectrum, could be pretty nice or it could be not nice at all. So very hard to know what to expect from property to property, which I don't like. If I'm going to stay in a chain hotel, I want to know what to expect. And I don't feel like I have that with IHG. So, so those are some issues with it. On the flip side, though, now they've made some potentially positive changes. I mean, you wrote about being excited.
Let's talk about what we know, which is planned changes to the credit cards. So they have credit cards issued by Chase, and they've told us about some changes that are coming. And the more interesting of the credit cards that are available new is the Premier card, the IHG Premier card, and that will. The one downside is it will go up in price from $89 to $99, I think it is, annually. So $10 more, and you're still only going to get a certificate good. Each card anniversary, good for a hotel up to 40,000 points. But they are taking a page from Marriott's book and expanding the page, or at least erasing the restrictions from the page. And they're going to let us apply any number of points we want to book a free night with that certificate. So for example, one IHG property I really enjoy is the Kimpton Seafire in Grand Cayman. And that one, even though most IHG properties are dynamically award priced, there are some that are still fixed price for some unknown reason. Maybe they forgot about them and I shouldn't be mentioning it. I don't know. But anyway, that one is 70,000 points per night. And, of course, I wasn't able to use these 40K free night certificates, but now I could, I could apply 40K and 30K points to stay at a place like that. And that's fantastic. A fantastic enhancement.
That place is going to become 110,000 points a night now. That's
after I said that.
That's the next step.
I'm sorry, but there are others that you just have to hunt for them.
So, I mean, yeah, it's potentially very good. I saw the changes to the credit card and I said, wow, this looks really interesting. I may actually consider upgrading from my old $49 a year IHG Select card to get some of these benefits, particularly that one, the ability to add points to the free night certificates, because that potentially makes your free night certificate much more valuable. Now, of course, I made a joke there about the Kimpton Seafire, but we don't know what's going to happen with point prices of hotels. They've certainly been dynamic and gotten more dynamic over time. And we saw like a flash devaluation all of a sudden at some point, and then they kind of walked it back after they got a bunch of backlash. So forgive me for not having lots of faith in IHG that this is going to work out as well as I'd like it to be.
No, that's totally understandable. But let's talk about that's not all with the credit cards.
It's not.
And I do want to clarify something you said. So the old IHG Select card, which is no longer available, it's $49 a year. A lot of us have it because it was a great deal back in the time. We are told that the free night from that will not be points upgradable. I don't know if that's really true. I mean, I feel like they'd have to go to a lot of work to put in that restriction. And so my guess is that it will work, but we'll see. We'll see. The other thing so what are the benefits? It gives you like $50 United credit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Every year.
On a card that costs $99. So, I mean, if you book a United flight every year, I mean, $50, I mean, that's not bad.
So just off the bat, you're getting a 40K free night. And so because of the ability to add points, it should be really easy to get sort of the full 40K value, which even if IHG devalues their points a little bit to be worth half a cent each, that's still like a $200 value towards a free night. And then you're getting $50 of United credit. Just that alone makes this card like a fantastic one to get and keep. And they're adding a new business card, a business Premier card. So with the same, very similar perks. And so you could then get, just one person could have those 2 free nights. So a free weekend every year, plus, I guess, $100 of United credit to spend to try to get to where you're going.
Yeah.
And the points. All right. So this is a big thing too. Up until now, the IHG credit cards only offered 1 point per dollar for most types of purchases. They had a few things where you earn a little bit more. And 1 point per dollar, if you're getting points that are worth less than a penny each, earning 1 point per dollar is a tragedy.
Right. If you're earning 1 point per dollar, like, listen up, guys, because we can help you a little bit there. Because I mean that's a horrible return, and that's why the IHG card mostly just stays in a wallet somewhere in a drawer and rarely ever makes an appearance for me, because 1 point per dollar, you got to be crazy, IHG. What are you guys smoking there?
It's nuts. But with the Premier cards, it's going to be 3 points per dollar is the base rate, and 5 points for some from categories. So that's more reasonable. It doesn't feel anymore like you are losing out a lot compared to other alternatives. And at $20,000 spend, you get some bonuses. So that helps make up for, any difference with, if you had spent on a more rewarding card. At, I think it's 40,000 spend, you can get their top tier elite status, which currently is called Spire, but it's going to be called Diamond status. And so the credit cards alone, the announced changes, vast majority of it is positive. So just that alone, IHG is on the upswing.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, especially for anybody who already was an IHG fan. Like, if you were already staying at IHG's, this is amazing. I mean, you're going to all of a sudden earn a lot more points. You're going to have a credit card certificate that's more valuable. I mean, the whole 9 yards. This is a great positive change for you if you're already an IHG person. If you weren't already an IHG person, it's still pretty good. I mean, I'm not really, I wouldn't classify myself as an IHG person. I don't stay at IHGs very often, but I still look at it and say, oh, wow. Like I said, it's enough to make me consider upgrading if indeed I'll need that Premier card to get the ability to add points to my free night certificate each year. So yeah, I mean, overall, I think that's nice. In your post though, you talked about all these things that you hope or wish IHG would do that were like off the wall.
Okay.
You got a little crazy.
So here's the thing. In March, I can't remember the date in March, but they're going to be revealing a brand new rewards program, basically. Right. And I think they're taking like club out of it, currently maybe it's called Rewards Club, and it's just been called Rewards, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, that's not really important. The important thing is that they are alluding to the fact that there's going to be new benefits that basically we discussed probably way more than anyone listening wanted to hear about the lack of benefits with the current program. They're promising benefits. They haven't told us anything about those benefits except how many bonus points you'll earn at each tier. And, but because they don't offer pretty much any guaranteed benefits today, chances are good the new program will be better than today.
Would we say chances are good? Chances are possible that it will be better. Yes. I mean, I guess that you're right. Better. Okay, better. I'll give you better.
All right. So my first reaction before hearing about the credit card changes, my first reaction was, well, it has to be better, but it's probably not going to be much better because IHG has never shown any inclination to have a true loyalty program around their elite program. And, but the credit card changes were so positive and interesting. I feel like especially the ability to add points to a certificate means somebody in charge is listening to what customers want and is making it happen. And I find that exciting. And I find it promising that same person may have something to do with the new loyalty program. And if that's true, then I have high hopes for what we might see.
I think that's a really interesting point and a good point. And it does kind of start to make me excited. But then I remember the footprint that IHG has. And I mean, they've got so many hotels. And so like for something like, for example, free breakfast, let's say that, that's what everybody kind of wants, right? We all want free breakfast. I just can't imagine IHG getting every owner of their thousands of properties to get on board with giving away free breakfast that they haven't had to ever and stay affiliated with IHG. I feel like that is a colossal undertaking that is just probably a bridge too far.
I totally agree with that assessment. So I had, as you mentioned, I had a post with a wish list of things that I would love to see their elite program do. I'm not saying I expect any of them, or certainly not most of them. The number one thing that I put on the list is also the number one thing I think is most unlikely to happen. And that is that whatever benefits they provide consistently across their brands. I think that's has like close to 0% chance of happening.
Yeah.
For the same reason Marriott can't do it. These different brands, these different hotel owners have their different priorities, and they're just not going to go along with what the corporate says. And if they want to keep those hotels as part of IHG, they're going to have a hard time convincing them to go along. So
I just can't imagine that somebody who owns like a $50 a night Holiday Inn Express or Candlewood Suites or whatever, like you said, they just don't have the same priorities in terms of what they need to offer guests as an Intercontinental or a Kimpton or whatever else. So getting them all on board to offer something consistent is probably unrealistic. And that's too bad, because what do we really want? We want consistency. I'd love to be able to have consistent benefits. So I think it's probably going to be fragmented. My other problem with IHG is just brand identity, because, like Regent, for instance, I don't know anything about Regent hotels. All I know is that the logo looks really outdated to me and doesn't tell me anything about the hotel. And I'm just like, I couldn't be less interested in Regent. Every time I see it, I'm like, that looks like something from like 1985. It looks like it was a fancy hotel when I was a kid, and hasn't been updated since. And maybe they're great. It could be fantastic. I don't know, but the branding just doesn't speak to me. And Mr. and Mrs. Smith is the same thing to me. It's like, what is a Mr. and that doesn't sound like extra classy. I know they are, but I wouldn't know that from the name. So it doesn't get me excited. Okay. I'm like, I can't wait to stay at a Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I've never felt that way.
That is such a funny and irrelevant way of looking at things.
It is. It's totally irrelevant. But I'm like, there's no consistency. And I can't get excited.
I would much rather stay in a really nice hotel that has awful branding than one that has fantastic branding and is a shitty hotel.
I guess that's true, but what can I say? What can I say, IHG? You're not getting me excited about any of this stuff yet. So you got work to do.
Boy.
You got work to do, IHG. You got work to do. Gonna get me excited about the program. Right. So we'll see. I'm hopeful, like you said. I think it's unfortunately a stretch. I don't think we're gonna see consistent. But if we see good benefits just at Intercontinental and Kimpton and Regent and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I guess that'll be nice for the people who are drawn to Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Well, I mean, I was looking at some properties last night, and it looks like there's some really outstanding properties. I'm unclear though. I think that Mr. and Mrs. Smith is more of a partnership, like Hyatt has with small luxury hotels of the world, and so I don't expect benefits to necessarily translate in any meaningful way to them. Anyway,
all right. So
to summarize, Hilton down, Marriott all over the place, mostly sort of trending down. Hyatt staying up above the fray. Choice coming up a tiny bit from the bottom.
Slowly ascending.
IHG dragging its way up from the bottom, but with a big thing to come in March. And we don't know. Will it go way up? Will it? It can't really go down.
Right. Right. No,
we'll swim around in circles. Right. We will see.
We'll see. We can be hopeful. I hope IHG.
I'm hopeful.
I hope you give me something.
I'm on the record hopeful.
Okay. All right. So then that brings us, I think, to the post roast.
Post roast
time. All right. So my post roast was going to be that you had these unrealistic expectations in your IHG post, even though I knew you didn't actually expect them to come true. But we just talked about that, so I don't need to belabor that point. So I'm gonna leave it up to you.
All right. So I was going to post roast Stephen Pepper this time.
I like that,
but it wouldn't really be fair for me to roast someone who's not here to defend themselves. Plus, he wrote that great Hilton dishonors post.
He did.
And I can't roast that because that was a fantastic post. And so I'm not going to pick on Stephen for those reasons. Instead, I'm going to pick on the new guy, Tim.
There you go. I like it. Let's pick on Tim. What did Tim do this week?
Tim's been doing a great job. I mean, he has sprinted out of the gate, writing lots of great posts. But he wrote a post about the transfer bonus from Amex to Aeromexico. And he wrote the post, but he did not at the time update the hidden table that we have on the back end for transfer bonuses so that our page that shows current transfer bonuses was not updated when he first published that post. What was Tim thinking?
What could he have been thinking? Tim, come on.
I mean, come on, Tim.
You're supposed to know these things.
Next time you do something, you need to, and we didn't tell you in advance about the hidden behind the scenes tables. You need to dig around for yourself and find them.
I blame that on the head of the HR department. So we're not offering that training.
Our onboarding training is subpar. Is that the issue?
Well, you'd have to ask Tim. I don't know. But
all right. No, Tim's been doing a great job. So welcome aboard, Tim.
Absolutely. It's been a lot of fun having him around. So that's good. That's the post roast. That brings us, I think, to the question of the week. And this week's question of the week came in via email. And it was a great question that I think we're going to get again and again and again. And on March 1st, I imagine we're going to get lots of panicked, similar questions when this doesn't happen right away. So I want Greg to try to put this one to bed, but I'm sure it's going to keep coming up anyway. Here we go, Greg.
It will.
Christopher says, "Hi, I'm enjoying playing the American Airlines status chase game and appreciate your hard work and the research you've done. I happened to read an article on TPG today that suggested that some of the big stashes of miles collected on Simply Miles and the AA portal may not count as loyalty points. In fact, I went back and read the AA rules, and they only referenced base miles and gave an example of 1 mile per dollar at Walmart. That makes me concerned about this," right? He says that he thought he was going to reach gold status already, but not sure about this. He went on to say that he found a deal for flowers on FTD that gave him 30x on FTD on Valentine's flowers. He thought that was an easy way to pick up a few thousand miles. But now, after reading the rules, he says, "I don't think those are going to count as loyalty points either. We're all earning redeemable miles, and that's a good thing. But I'm wondering about the validity of the strategy you guys are proposing here. What do you think?"
Yeah, it's a great question. And let me tell you why you are going to be earning loyalty points for those purchases, I believe. So first, let me agree with the wider premise, which is that American Airlines has not done a good job of officially declaring what counts and what doesn't. It's very murky right now, with the exception of their credit cards. They're very clear about what counts, which is, for most credit cards, just 1 point per dollar is a loyalty point, even if you're earning 2 points per dollar, like at grocery stores, for example. You're still only getting 1 loyalty point per dollar with those. But for portals and all that other stuff, it's kind of murky. But let me explain how it actually is expected to work. With portals, you will get, or you should get, all of the miles. So you're getting 30 points per dollar. All of those points should count as both redeemable miles and loyalty points. The thing that won't count with portals is when the portal itself has a bonus. Like, portals frequently have these like seasonal bonuses that say things like spend $500, through any merchants in the portal, and you'll get this number of bonus points. Those bonus points will not be loyalty points, but your 30 points per dollar will be. And I know it's really confusing. So how do we know this? Well, let me give a couple reasons we know this to be true. One is you can look at your activity in your American Airlines account, and for portal purchases, you will see that they're listed. The miles you got are listed under base miles, not under bonus miles, but except for those kind of portal promos will be listed under bonus miles. And that's how you'll know the distinction there. We also have a lot of past experience with similar things. So to go way back, with Southwest has had the ability to earn companion pass earnable points through portals and other things. And it worked and still works the exact same way, which is whatever the portal rate is, the 30 points per dollar through the portal, those count towards the companion pass. The bonus points that the portals are offering for spending $500 do not count. And so we have that experience. We have experience from Simply Miles. So Simply Miles is similar to a portal, but it's where you link your MasterCard and you get American Airlines points. There was that huge promo at the end of last year where, for example, they were offering a promo rate of 40 points per dollar for donating to a charitable organization But on top of all the deals, they're offering an additional 5 times as many points as you earned. And so what we saw in our American Airlines accounts after these posted was that the 40 points per dollar or whatever the original deal was that showed up on Simply Miles, those show up as base points. So those are expected to be loyalty points if they post this year. Those posted last year, but I'm just giving an example. But the 5 points, the 5 times as many that was the portal promotion, the Simply Miles promotion, that posts as bonus points. And so that will only be, those will not be loyalty points when that kind of promo happens again. So we have a lot of evidence, even if it's not coming all directly from AA to really explain the nuts and bolts, a lot of evidence that that's how it's going to work.
Yeah. And I mean, to piggyback on that, to make that hopefully maybe a little clearer to anybody who hasn't caught what Greg is saying, portal wide promotions are bonus points. Those are not going to be your base miles. So if it's something that like spend at any merchant in the portal, it's spend at least this much and get this many bonus points. If it's portal wide like that, those are not going to be loyalty points. But any offer for a specific merchant, like open a new line at Verizon and get 6,200 miles, that 6,200 miles is posting to American Airlines accounts right now. It says base miles. So, I think that it would be hard to imagine a situation where Americans like, yeah, those base miles aren't really base miles though. So,
Right.
And we've already been seeing that. So you probably, Chris, when you look at your American Airlines account, can already see that the 30 points per dollar you got at FTD are in fact base miles. And any of those offers that you're doing through the portal where it's like, go to Wink Wines and sign up for wine and get 1,000 miles, that 1,000 counts as base miles. It's just anything that's like spend at any merchant in the portal and get this many extra points. Those are the extra bonuses. Same thing with Simply Miles. So that's what we're saying. We expect all of that stuff to be base miles because it all says base miles now, and base miles are said to be loyalty points or count as loyalty points. So I mean, I'm as confident as I possibly could be without actually being the person that created the program that we're going to
I'm confident too, but let me just clarify one point.
Okay.
Not everything you see as base miles are going to be loyalty points because credit card bonuses show up as base miles. Credit card spend, even when you're getting 2x, shows up as base miles. So there's not a one-to-one with everything.
Okay.
But most things there will be a one-to-one. And yeah, it's confusing.
Yeah, it is. It is. So we're going to keep getting this question again and again and again, but we'll try to refer people back to this, this segment, hopefully. And like I said, this is supposed to debut on March 1st. And I'm going to go right out here and bet $5 that on March 1st, this is not going to post automatically right away at the beginning of the day. And people are going to be flipping out crazy. Like, oh my goodness, I didn't get my loyalty points. Where are they? Blah, blah, blah. And you just give it a day or two. I mean, it's probably going to be fine. So
or even a week or two.
Take a couple deep breaths. It's probably all going to shake out okay in the end. So that's my advice. All right. So that brings us, my friends, to the end for this week. We want to thank you very much for being out there with us. If you enjoyed today's episode and you would like to get our posts in your inbox each day, go to frequentmiler.com/subscribe. Again, that's frequentmiler.com/subscribe. You can join for instant emails, daily emails, weekly emails, whatever it is you like. You can follow us on all of the various social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc., etc. Wherever you're watching or listening, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. We always appreciate all that stuff. It helps the channel out, and we will see you guys again next week. Thank you.
Yes. And if you have feedback for us, send it to mailbag@frequentmiler.com. Whether you have feedback or questions of the week entries. So we'll see you there as well. Bye, everybody.